What is up, my people? Sitting here, eat a little bit of food, chilling out. I have gotten some comments, talked to people, and some of the things, the concepts that I've talked about doing in the market, they're saying that, those are impossible to have. Those aren't real. You're saying a lot of fictitious stuff. I am saying some fictitious stuff and some ideas, but some of it I'm literally doing. Now, I debated on actually sharing personal information like this in more of a public way or not, but I think I'm going to start tracking and showing a little bit more of my actual portfolio. Showing what I'm actually doing, real numbers, real time. I debated on doing that. There's a lot of YouTubers, content creators, stuff like that really don't show their face with what they're doing. They just talk about what they're doing or talk about concepts. Then there's others that do actually show their real information and numbers, but they don't show their face. So you don't know if it's a real person. You don't know if they're just joking and jiving. They're showing you some info. It looks pretty legit, but you don't really know. I'm going to show you what I'm actually doing. Last month, I talked a lot about TSLY, for example, some of the yield max funds and how they were offering yields. At the time, it looked like it was close to 60, 70%. Now it's gone down to about 50. But in that, I talked about how a 50% yield would really do a lot for a lot of people if they had some money they could invest into it, just to give them cash flow. Because the purpose of my portfolio is to build cash flow to cover bills and expenses and stuff in life, right? So I'm not investing for long-term growth. I'm willing to miss out on those capital gains to get cash flow now. Because the way I look at it is there's a time valuation for money, right? If somebody's going to give you $100 in a year or give you $100 right now, most people would take the $100 right now because that time. They would even take $50 now than $100 in a year because I could do more with 50 now than I could with 100 in a year. You get what I'm saying? So for me, the valuation is I want to get more cash flow now, forsake some gains later. But when I have that cash flow, I can buy some things that will then cause me to have more wealth later. Because I feel like I started the investing thing a little bit later in life for me, right? Like my perspective, I would say someone should start this in their 20s, early 20s, like right out of high school. I didn't learn about it until COVID. Till 2020 is when I opened my brokerage account and actually started buying, selling stocks. And my whole goal, focus at the time, again, was cash flow. I wanted to buy stocks or funds that paid dividends on a monthly or quarterly basis, and I wanted that cash flow to go up as high as I could make it. My first goal was to reach about $30 a month, and when I did that, within the first couple months I started investing, my mind was just blown. I was like, wow, my only goal was to cover my lowest bill, which is about $30 a month, and I did that in like 2 or 3 months. And it wasn't even me having a bunch of money to put towards investing. It was just finding a couple of cheap stocks that pay a dividend that was pretty consistent, long-term, paid that amount. And I said, you know what? If I just invest this much money, I'll have this much coming in. And when I did it, that following month, I had $30 a month coming in through the brokerage account. And I was like, this is crazy. How about I try to get that 30 to 100 or 300 or 500 or 1,000? That's my goal. Like, get it as high as I can, because then there's passive money coming in that I can use for life. So anyways, as time went on, I learned more. I wrote an investing course. I shared information with a lot of people. I learned by purchasing someone else's course. That's how I learned the basics information. But then I'm sort of like I just deep dive the information. I get nerded out in some stuff, and I really want to take some time to learn a lot more because my mind was just blown at the potential for this. And so as time went on, I started learning more about how some things work, getting into options, getting into dividends, understanding the difference between the long-term growth, the short-term goals, and what my goals were with my portfolio. And then I got to the point now where I'm willing to take some bigger risks than what other people may be willing to take because I understand how it works. So for me, the risk isn't risky because I understand the ebbs and flows, ups and downs. I understand what I'm missing out on. So for me, it's a comfortable risk to take, where other people, they may not be at that point. And so you have to make a decision based on what fits within your risk profile. But once you do, make the decision and stick with it. And as you go along, you're going to learn every day as you do things. And as more funds and new things come out, you're going to learn more. So right now, I've gotten some other funds that Defiance, Yield Max, QQQY, JEPY, Tesla, NVDY, there's a lot of tickers out there that I've gotten into now that pay much higher than the average stock market return. The average stock market return over long term, they say, is about 10%. If you Google it, you can find it. It's about 10%. But now I'm finding that I can find stocks that are more risky, or funds that are more risky, offering 40, 50% yield. And even if they're half wrong, it's still much higher than 10. So for me, I'm willing to take the risk. I'm willing to put the money there and have the cash flow come in, because even if the total amount I put there is worth less in value in the future, I'm not worried about that as long as I continue getting cash flow. Because if I get cash flow, I can pay for things in my life. And as long as I don't sell those shares, I still have that cash flow coming in. So, in my life personally, I have some bills right now that are getting paid by the brokerage account. And the way I've been able to invest money is every time we have a windfall or something happens I don't expect and we get extra income, I throw it towards investing. We get a tax return. We had some medical bills that we overpaid that we got money back from the dental office and stuff like that. I think I overpaid. I don't know. There's some stuff I overpaid. Just randomly get a check in the mail and be like, oh, wow, got this back. So I guess we paid too much of that, etc. Switch insurance companies and I get, the money back for the time period I didn't have that insurance. Different ways I look at saving money. And I also do some side hustles. When I work my side hustle jobs, all the income I make from side hustles goes straight to investing. So I don't use it to increase my lifestyle. I'm fortunate and blessed enough in a way that the income that I make is enough to cover my household, my livelihood. And here's the other kicker part that I debated talking about too as well. But I thought I would have to get up and over 6 figures before some of this stuff would work out. I was like, if I get to this goal of income, I can then have this much left. I can invest every month and do this, do that. But I started realizing, I was like, you know what? Who knows? Every job only has a certain value, right? And not made it to that point. But I've still been able to put money aside and invest through having a budget, through living diligently, through the side hustles, through other things. So I still didn't reach the milestone I thought I needed to get to as far as income, but I've still been able to create income in other ways. So I'm saying that to say that, I'm trying to encourage other people with this because I really see the future of where I believe it can go. Again, you got to take for it what you want to take from it. But I think in the next few years, it's really going to pan out and be well for me in my situation. And I plan to share along the way what I'm doing and how I'm going. So here's getting into that. Last month, I had in the brokerage account a lot of funds that I purchased that were on the safer side, but still did pay me dividends every month because I was in the monthly dividend payers. When I found about some of the new funds that offer higher yields, I said, you know what? I'm willing to take the risk to go into those. And I said, if I'm going to go into something, I'm going to go into 100%. So I literally sold everything I had in my brokerage to transfer it into the new funds that are paying the higher yields, because I said, even if they pay less of a yield than what they expect, it's still gonna be more than what I was making. And before my brokerage account, I was making about 12 to 15% annual dividend yield on what I had invested. So now I've switched it over to the other funds. They're gonna pay 30, 40, 50% yield. And it literally tripled or almost quadrupled the monthly dividend income that I should be receiving. So this next month is gonna be a super big month as far as dividends, the biggest month that I've ever had. And I hope to continue using that to grow from there, so we'll see where it goes. But either way, I want to just give a little explanation about how I'm doing, what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, because I really want to help other people in this venture, because I think just a lot of people in my community and place I came from just did not know about investing. Our parents didn't know about it. Our family didn't know about it. We weren't taught about it. It's not something they teach routinely in school. I have a lot of friends that have their masters in finance. They work in the financial realm, do all that kind of stuff, and they don't get taught this same information, and they go to school for it. So that's a whole nother topic, conspiracy theory almost, to talk about why I think that more people aren't taught about how they can utilize this information for their benefit. But again, you also don't want to stray people away because there are risks involved. So you don't want to make it all seem like it's all great when someone could put everything into it and then wind up losing a lot. So again, don't invest what you can't live without. If you have extra you can live without, that's what you invest. Don't take, what you need and invest. Don't, unless you're super risky, don't, mortgage your home just to go invest. There's some other things you can do that can help you grow along the way. And that's what I plan to show. So anyway, want to say that. Hope you have a great day. And in the future, I'll be posting some more stuff about what I'm doing. But I was able to transfer all my funds into the other funds that I think are going to be more beneficial for cash flow, because that's my goal.